hello. Although I already have an Alice in Wonderland recommendation video on my channel, it is old. It has been 3 years and recently I think I really improved my quality. I got a new camera, I got a new microphone. So even though loads of these books I've already talked in the previous video, I wanted to take this opportunity to make a new one, add some new books, but also just up the quality, because that video is my best watched video of the channel. And who else needs an excuse to talk about Alice in Wonderland retellings? Alice in Wonderland is my favorite story, probably ever. I am obsessed and I love to read Alice in Wonderland retellings. So when I stalked to my Goodreads, I was very surprised to find out that I've only read 22 of them, which is nothing compared to the 87 fairy tale retellings I've read. But I do feel like not everything I've read is on there. I don't know what happened. But I thought that if you're obsessed with Alice in Wonderland like me, but you might not like to read the original, because, let's be honest, Alice is kind of whiny in that one. You might like to read a few retellings. These are in no particular order. I'm just grabbing the ones that is on top of the stack. That's what we're doing today. First up is The Wonderland Trials by Sara. I really enjoyed this. I actually intend to read the second book this month. So just let me read the synopsis to you. All Alice Little wants is to escape her normal life in Oxford and find the parrots who abandoned her 10 years ago. But she gets more than she bargained for when her older sister Charlotte is arrested for having the infamous Wonder Gene. The key to unlocking the curious Wonderland reality. Soon Alice receives a rather cryptic invitation to play for Team Hearts in this year's annual and often deadly Wonderland Trials. The trials in this book were so good, people. Now she has less than 24 hours to find her way into Wonderland, where nothing is impossible, or what it seems. The stakes are raised when she discovers players go missing during the trials each year. Will she and her team solve the clues and find the missing players, or will the betrayal and distrust win, leaving Alice alone in a world of her own? Following the White Rabbit into this topsy-turvy fantasy where players become prey, a sip of the wrong team might as well be poison, and the Queen's ways do not always lead out where they ought to go. This book, more so, is about the trials to get to Wonderland than being in Wonderland. I think that is going to be the second book. I highly recommend this. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. Then we have Madison Hatter. When 14-year-old Amos' cousin goes missing amidst a string of murders, he maneuvers himself into the case with his guardian, Inspector Corwin, James of Scotland Yard. Through careful examination of the suspicious notes left at the crime scene and of the unsettling pattern the deaths take on, the two begin to piece the curious murders together into a case with more questions than answers. Who is behind the Wonderland murders? What do all the victims have in common? And can the murder be stopped? As Emil draws closer and closer to discovering the truth, it becomes clearer by the minute that the case is more personal than he wants to admit. Though he tries to avoid it, the more he investigates, the more the past forces itself into his consciousness. And what he learns will take him down the rabbit hole again. Does he have it in him to stop the Mad Hatter and to save himself? This is a murder mystery and it is so good. It all involves the Mad Hatter, my favorite character. I love this so much. And I think this is something different. Usually it is a portal fantasy, right? You fall down a rabbit hole, find a whole new world, and it might be friendly, it might not be. That happens a lot with Alice in Wonderland retellings. But you kind of follow the adventure story. This is a murder mystery. This is very different and I really, really enjoyed it. Then we have Vincent in Wonderland. This is definitely more of a traditional retelling. This does follow the original story very, very true. However, this time it is 11-year-old Vincent van Gogh who discovers a curious new world through a tunnel on the moor. A mysterious white rabbit introduces Vincent to Alice and their quest begins to defeat the dreaded Jabberwock before it consumes all of Wonderland. A slithy toad and an ill-tempered caterpillar and the Cheshire Cat meet them along the path as their adventure takes them through fields, dancing with flowers, tangled forests and looking-glass pools. But all is not what it seems in Wonderland, and Vincent may not have and may not want what it takes to succeed. Destroying the Jabberwock may cost more than he's willing to give. This was such a good book. And it is very original, or it is very close to the original story, but it definitely has its own twist. And it takes scenes from the original book that are not often used in retelling, so I really enjoyed it. Then we have Pages and Go by Anna James. This is the whole reason I'm so excited for this month's group book, Alice with a Y by Anna James, because this book is called Tilly and the Bookwanderers, and it is about Tilly who can wander into books. But her favorite characters can also come out of the books. And that would happen to be Alice in Wonderland, as well as Anne of Green Gables. But obviously Alice saw this for me. And I really like that you can see Alice in our current world and how she would interact with that. And I think it's really well done. This synopsis said this book is in Dutch, so I have the Dutch synopsis. But this is basically about Tilly who lives in a bookstore with her grandparents. And she can wander in books, she will go into books and follow that story, live the story with the characters, but also Alice in Wonderland can come out of the book. So it is very interesting. Then I have Splintered by A.G. Howard. This is a very well-known Alice in Wonderland retelling. It is YA and it is very well-known for a good reason. I devoured this series. I've read them all back to back. Enjoyed it so much. And it is really funny because this should not have worked for me. There is a love triangle in this book, which I absolutely hate. But somehow it worked. I can't tell you why. Alyssa Gardner hears the thought of plants and animals. She hides her delusions for now, but she knows her fate. She will end up like her mother in an institution. Madness had run in her family ever since her great-great-great-grandmother, Alice Little, told Lewis Carroll her strange dreams, inspiring his classics, Alice in Wonderland. But perhaps she's not mad, and perhaps Carroll's stories aren't as whimsical as they first seem. To break the curse of insanity, Alyssa must go down the rabbit hole and right the wrongs of Wonderland, a place full of strange beings with dark agendas. Alyssa brings her real-world crush, the protective Jap, with her, but once her journey begins, she's torn between his solidity and the enchanting, dangerous magic of Morpheus, her guide to Wonderland. But no one in Wonderland is who they seem to be, not even Alyssa herself. What this book does is bring the madness into the real world and how we deal with it, aka asylums. I love that part of Alice so much, so I always appreciate it when they do that. And then this world is very strange and dangerous, so I really enjoyed that too. Then we have The Lost Wonderland Diaries by J. Scott Savage. This is a middle grade retelling and it is good. After returning from Wonderland, Celia and Tyra's journey to the Looking Glass world to reclaim their mirror images and stop a war between... Oh, I've read the... I have the second book. So this is about Celia and Tyrus and they find diaries by Mr. Lewis about Wonderland. And that kind of leads them in to one... This is really, really well done. I really enjoyed it. This Wonderland does feel like the very whimsical, very strange, very ridiculous Wonderland from the original book. And I really enjoyed that. This is the second book, but I highlighted something that I don't think is a spoiler at all. But it is a very good indication how the characters are and why I love them. So this is about Celia and Hatter. And, you know, Hatter needs to get some supplies. And Celia asks, what kind of supplies? Comfortable socks, Hatter said, disappearing down a hallway. Oh, and pastries. It's like, yeah. Obviously, I love the Hatter. This is just a really, really good book. It's a middle grade. It reads fast, but it's good middle, like it's a middle grade, very appropriate for adults too. It was really fun. And then in the second book, they return for the Looking Glass War, where they have to fight their mirror images and deal with the consequences of the first book. Then we have Heartless by Marissa Meyer. This is my favorite Alice in Wonderland retelling of all time. This is the first book that made me cry, so it would always be special to me. If you need a book that hurts you, this will do. It will rip your heart out. It is Heartless. This is about Lady Pinkerton, Catherine Pinkerton. She's a Lady Pinkerton. And she's heir to the throne, but all she wants to do is open a pastry shop. And we follow her in her journey and her struggles of what she is destined to do and what she wants to do. This book is predictable. You will know what is going to happen. And you will hope with your whole heart it will not. Then Marissa destroys you. But it's really good. It is really, really good. Again, this is... I have this synopsis in Dutch, so I can't read it, but you have to trust me on this. And then I have The Night Before Christmas in Wonderland. This is a picture book and it is super, super cute. This is by Karis Bexington and Kate Hindley. And, you know, it's a picture book, so it is fully illustrated. This is how it looks. And we follow the Red Queen and why she, maybe or maybe not, has hate against Christmas. And, you know, since this... if you're joining the readathon, Down the Rabbit Hole in December, this might be the perfect book to do it. It has Christmas. It has Alice in Wonderland vibes, so I think it's gonna give you a good time. I absolutely loved it. The illustrations are so pretty. The story is just really cute. Look. It's really fun. Then we also have Alice Takes Back Wonderland by David D. Hammons. I gave this 3 stars. But sometimes I remember specific things from retellings that I don't know which book it is from. And I think it's actually this book. So I should have rated it higher. After 10 years of being told she can't tell the difference between real life and fairy tale, Alice finally stops believing in Wonderland. So when the White Rabbit shows up at her house, Alice thinks she's going crazy. Only when the White Rabbit kicks her down the rabbit hole does Alice realize that the magical land she visited as a child is real. So I know how that feels. Thank you, White Rabbit. But all is not well in Wonderland. The Ace of Spades has taken over Wonderland and is systematically dismantling all that makes it wonderful. Plain is replacing wondrous, logical is replacing magical, and reason is destroying madness. Alice decides she must help the Mad Hatter and all those fighting to keep Wonderland wonderful. But how can she face such danger when she's just a girl? Alice must journey across the stars to unite an army. She discovered that fairy tales are real in a magical world beyond the rabbit hole, but they are not the fairy tales she knows. Fairy tales have danger and adventures of their own, and Alice must overcome the trials of these old stories if she wants to unite the lands against Ace. With the help of Peter Pan, Pinocchio, Snow White and heroes old and new, Alice may have the strength to take back Wonderland. I really enjoyed this book. And, you know, this plays on the madness and the crazy again. And I love that so, so much. The last on the list is I Hate Fairyland by Skottie Young. This isn't really a retelling. It might be more of a reimagining, if not. What happens is this is basically what if Alice fell down the rabbit hole and lost her shit. And loses her shit. That's what's happening in this book. So it is not specifically an Alice in Wonderland retelling. But this is about Gertrude who falls down a hole. And, you know, ends up getting in Fairyland. And she cannot leave. So that is very reminiscent of Alice in Wonderland. And then she comes across all kinds of fairy tale-esque things, also Wonderland-esque things. It is wacky. It is violent. I love the shit out of this. So I would recommend. But this is more of a loser one. But I would count it. I love it so much. And that's all for today. If you have any Alice in Wonderland recommendations, please leave them down below. Let me know. I always need more. But also let's make this a place where we can find the best ones. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like, subscribe if you want to see more chaos from me. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.